As campaign director of the Just Cause Coalition and chair of the Friends of the Just Cause Eviction Pack, I wanted to address the anti-Just Cause campaign material the Burlington people have been subjected to in the last week. These have come in two forms: lawn signs put up primarily in green spaces across the city, and direct mailers sent to a portion of households in Burlington. First of all, the lawn signs. Last week, tens, if not hundreds, of lawn signs were distributed throughout the city by an unknown organisation. The lawn signs are orange with white writing, often left at stop signs, and contain statements as to why people of Burlington should vote no on Just Cause. These statements are categorically untrue and designed to fearmonger and manipulate voters into voting against their interests. They are also racist, misogynistic, and paternalistic. The organisation behind these signs have been too cowardly to put their names on the material, and as of this moment, only one person has stepped forward to claim responsibility. I commend that person for taking responsibility for their part, but now is the time to make amends. Make your apology public, remove any signs left out around Burlington, and encourage others within your group to step forward as you did. The direct mailers. 2 mailers were received in quick succession to a selection of Burlington houses. These mailers have been paid for by the Vermonters for Affordable Housing PAC and led by Vermont Association of Realtors Director of Policy and Advocacy, Peter Tucker. The mailers are riddled with lies and fearmongering, and Peter Tucker has privately acknowledged that some of these arguments in the mailer have no merit. That doesn't mean we should lose sight of the fact they are deliberately misleading and dishonest. Please read our written statement for a full list of requests we have for Mr. Tucker in order for his group to make amends as well. In closing, I would like to thank the people of Burlington, elected officials, and several wonderful community groups for the outpouring of support and solidarity we have seen in the past few days. Many of those people are with me this morning, standing in solidarity and ready to speak their piece. The Friends of Just Cause Eviction, we have campaigned for Just Cause based on the merits of a fairer and more equitable Burlington for renters, homeowners, and landlords. Tactics like those displayed by our opponents are used by those unable to stand on arguments with merit. Today, we're demonstrating that the people of Burlington are appalled by these messages and will stand with us on March 2nd in favour of Just Cause Eviction. Say yes on question 5. Now, we'll be hearing from several members of our community, including lawmakers and activists. First up is Councillor Hightower. I believe Councillor Hightower might have some technical difficulties, so speaking on behalf of the Chittenden State Senators, Senator Keisha Ram.
Thanks so much, Tom, and everyone assembled today and watching this feed. I'm grateful to Tom for laying out the issues before us. And I will say, often as state lawmakers, you know, town meeting day is not necessarily our jurisdiction until the people voice their opinions. And I'm on Senate Government Operations Committee that we're seeing changes. So I felt that Prop 5 was something that's benign to beneficial to Vermont and Burlington residents, and thought, let's just let the process play out and you know, hear from our constituents in Burlington once they have taken their vote. And unfortunately, that became impossible to do once these signs were placed around Burlington. And the experiences, the lived experiences and the systemic racism in housing was ignored for the benefit of a small group of business owners and landlords and folks in the housing industry to use the lived experiences inappropriately and unfairly against them on lawn signs around Burlington. I could no longer remain silent and let the process simply play out, knowing I would be receiving this charter change. I had been quietly supportive of Proposition 5, but it became imperative to speak out and to say that housing and the tenets of, you know, tenants' rights and fair housing and BIPOC home ownership have constantly been under threat. Housing has been one of our most racist institutions in the history of our country, with redlining and the inability of BIPOC families to access capital in order to be able to move in transition from being renters to homeowners. And not only that, but exacerbated by this pandemic, around the country, we have seen far more BIPOC families who have been evicted, who have been unable to access the same rental assistance and supports as their white counterparts. We have mounting evidence that if there is a time to protect tenants and to protect renters from unjust evictions, it is right now. It is in the middle of a pandemic where we are facing one of the biggest threats of eviction in our nation's history. And the last thing anyone should be doing is usurping or misappropriating the voices of BIPOC Burlingtonians and Vermonters to meet their ends and to exploit the benefits for themselves. So I soundly condemn, and I can't fully speak on behalf of my Senate colleagues, but I know many of them join me, Senator Pearson and others, in fully condemning these signs, those against Prop 5 who would use BIPOC experiences for their means and to oppose Prop 5. And many of us are very supportive of Prop 5 and are excited and looking forward to helping to advance it once it comes to the Vermont legislature. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Senator Ram. And up next, speaking on behalf of many of the Burlington City Councillors, we have Councillor Hightower.
Thank you, everyone, and apologies for my technical difficulties. My computer restarted on me. I used to really think that most people wanted to do the right thing for the community, and that we all just had different ways to get there. And I think some of the opposition against Just Cause has made me feel that belief was rather naive. The movement for Just Cause started decades ago and was thwarted last time by special interests. This summer and fall, Brian Pine, Sarah Carpenter, and I led the council in working really hard alongside Vermont Legal Aid, Rights and Democracy, Burlington Tenants Union, Vermont Affordable Housing Coalition, and CVOEO to come up with a really airtight charter change proposal. We listened to both tenants and landlords, listened to their concerns, and tried to come up with something that was fair. We definitely wanted to make the move to have Just Cause. I think it's a baseline policy that is needed for all kinds of other reforms to make sense for tenants. It's just a basic right that is needed, not just here in Burlington, but across the country. And this time around, the special interests really were grasping at straws to try to spread misinformation and to try to shut down this common sense measure, which is really disheartening to see as it helps tenants and homeowners alike. Of course, it was even more disheartening to see the co-opting of racial justice language to try to convince allies to vote against and continue to allow systemic discrimination, especially against BIPOC and women and non-binary and genderqueer folks. So I'm so grateful to all the people on the call. I'm glad that folks are stepping forward. I'm disappointed that that we definitely have a difference in some of the people who are stepping forward who are truly apologetic, see the harm that they've done, and some who are saying, oh no, absolutely not. I said it and therefore I stand by it. I think that the campaign against this has been gross, and I hope that everyone who has been part of it can see that and apologize for it.
Thank you so much, Councillor Hightower. Now speaking on behalf of the Burlington Democratic Party, the Burlington Democratic Vice Chair, C.D. Mattison.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to first address the No on 5 signs, as Tom said, as Vice Chair of the Burlington Vermont Democrats by reading our party statement. The Burlington Democratic Party joins BIPOC community voices and many others in condemning the political signs placed around Burlington, invoking racial justice language for the purpose of advocating for a no vote on city ballot question number 5. The claim that a no vote on this item will protect BIPOC tenants ignores the history of how evictions and the threat of evictions have been a tool used disproportionately against BIPOC tenants. There are many racial disparities in our current housing systems, and meaningful solutions will only be accomplished through thoughtful and informed civic discourse. This attempt and any other attempt to confuse and conflate issues has no place in our community. And now I'd like to just speak for myself. We are at a crucial time in our country. Everyone's eyes are open to the generational and current trauma of systemic racism. No one can say that they don't know of the intentional harm done against Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. No one can say they don't know. What people can say and show us is whether they care enough to repair and heal the damage done. At this time, only one person has spoken truth in owning her part in the harm done publicly. If we are all serving the greater good of our community, I invite the entire group who approved and funded the signs to come forward, to own it or apologize. Without reconciliation, without an earnest effort of repair, the signs message minimizes and gives cover to intentional and dishonest housing discrimination against BIPOC communities, rather than serving to repair generational and current economic and social harm. There is much good work to be done in our community to take care of every Burlingtonian. Meaningful and compassionate solutions will only be accomplished through thoughtful, honest, open, and informed conversations where we acknowledge and honor the humanity of us all. Speaking only for myself, I personally ask that you say yes on question 5. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Mattison, for those words. Now speaking on behalf of the Black perspective, Mohammed Shariff.
The Black perspective has always served its community, and any oppression towards our community is an issue we will not tolerate. With that being said, minorities will be one of the main people affected by this clearly biased act. While reading the statement on my voting sheet, I was appalled by its presence on the sheet at all and immediately voted against it without a second thought. Furthermore, we wanted to shed further light on the issue and present our position on the issue. The Black people will continue to, the Black perspective will continue to stand by its community and will always continue to advocate for our community. And that is why we decided to vote against this act. And we will continue to vote against acts that are going to, directly trying to target minorities and anyone else who is voiceless. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mohammed. Now, Christie, Delphia, for a statement from the Burlington Tenants Union.
Good morning, everyone. As a proponent of housing reform in the city of Burlington, the Burlington Tenants Union stands in solidarity with the Black perspective on these signs. They are absolutely disgusting. Our BIPOC neighbors take harassment and discrimination from landlords on a daily basis. We do not stand for any of this. Housing is a human right for everyone. These signs that were put out and around Burlington immediately made people angry, as their racist signs hurt all different kinds of feelings, and the Black and the BIPOC community of Burlington took the hardest hit. We have tenants that we deal with on a daily basis being harassed and discriminated against by their landlords. One, their white tenants being told that they can have animals, and the Black tenants in the building or BIPOC neighbors being told, no, you cannot, simply because of the color of your skin. We fight this on a daily basis, and we find it absolutely disgusting. The people that put these signs out, as has been said already, need to own up to their responsibility and apologize. The BIPOC neighbors in this city have dealt with enough. We stood in solidarity with them last summer about the police issues, and we stand with them still today. We will fight as hard as we can to get this changed, because as we say, housing is a human right for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Christie. And finally, we have, speaking for the Vermont Affordable Housing Coalition, Erhard Mahnke.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks everyone for your solidarity and for coming out at 8:30 on a Monday morning to say what absolutely is needed to be said. So the Vermont Affordable Housing Coalition has long supported Just Cause. We were in favor of this back in the 80s when it failed, unfortunately, due to some of the same tactics of distortion and lies and misrepresentation. We come at this from the standpoint that, as Christie said, housing is a human right. It is a human need, especially during a pandemic when an eviction can put somebody at greater risk to contract the virus and potentially spread it. This is a matter of public safety and public health for all. What Just Cause does is it gives the 60% approximately of Burlington residents who are renters some of the same security and some of the same protections that many of us who are homeowners enjoy. It makes for more stable families, more stable neighborhoods, and it helps families and low-income people and all renters thrive. We worked with Councillors Hightower, Pine, and Carpenter on what I thought was a carefully crafted compromise that was designed to appeal to all sides. And as evidence of that, I'll cite that it passed the City Council on a 10-2 vote. Our nonprofit members all operate their housing. We're talking about well over 10,000 units of affordable housing around the state, including over 2,000 here in Burlington. They are operated on a just cause basis. So tenants in affordable housing have these benefits. Tenants in market rate housing should have them as well. We've been, as everyone else, extremely disturbed by the lawn signs and by the appropriation of racial justice arguments, as others have said. We're also extremely disturbed by the postcards that have been mailed out, which I consider to be a complete fact-free zone. The folks who wrote these should be ashamed of themselves. This is the kind of smear campaign that we see in big cities and other states. It is not the kind of thing that we're used to seeing here in Vermont at all. And the folks who are responsible should be ashamed. We urge Burlington voters to vote yes on 5 on town meeting week. Lastly, I'll just say, as a coalition, we're particularly disturbed by the use of the name that the PAC has used. Vermonters for Housing Affordability. It's very confusing. It confuses with the name of our coalition. And I've heard from folks who have Googled this name and they actually come to our coalition and to our coalition's website and are confused by the fact that why would the Vermont Affordable Housing Coalition oppose something like Just Cause? So I call on the PAC to change its name, to come forward and to apologize to everyone in Burlington for this awful smear campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Erhard. And we actually are just going to go quickly back to Mohammed Shariff, who's got a clarification on his statement.
Yes, thank you very much. So just to clarify, we are definitely urging everyone to vote yes on 5, just so that everyone understands our position. And we are definitely voting against the sign itself because the wording is a little bit different, but definitely on 5, vote yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mohammed, and thank you all for coming today. Especially thank you to our speakers and members of the public and all our neighbours. This recording and full statement will be made available on justcausebtv.org. Once again, that's justcausebtv.org. And please visit the website to find out any other ways you can help Just Cause pass. Say yes to Just Cause Evictions. Say yes to question 5. Thank you all for coming today and good morning.
Thank you.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.